We'll see who's beef with us. I mean, usually someone gets, you people. People. Well, I think it might be you today. All right, let's get into it. All right, Hugh. So, saw something really interesting this morning that kind of made me think about this Eagles offensive coordinator search, which is on day 10 now, by the way. For everyone telling me calm down, it's no big deal. We're on day 10.
Yeah, calm down.
Snow's coming. We're not going to have an offensive coordinator until maybe February at this rate.
Snowmageddon.
Yep. Okay, so this morning, as the Buffalo Bills go through their head coaching search, this came out, and I thought it was really interesting. So this is according to Diana Rossini. Buffalo is making sure their best player, team leader, and face of the franchise is part of the hiring process. Josh Allen will have significant say on the next head coach of the Buffalo Bills. And then another one here with all the candidates that they're meeting with or have met with already, right? And then the end of that was one constant in every single interview, quarterback Josh Allen is sitting in for everything. Well, okay, that's what they're doing up in Buffalo. Hugh Douglas, should Jalen Hurts have say on the Eagles offensive coordinator search? Obviously, there's a lot of names being thrown about. Some guys maybe already have said no. Some guys maybe we'll see. But a lot of different names we talked about over the past week or so. Should Jalen Hurts have say in who the next Eagles offensive coordinator is?
I don't think so. I don't think so. And the reason that I give is that's a different situation when you talk about Josh Allen and them firing their coach, because Josh hasn't broken through, and they feel like they have a generational talent at that spot. And that's not me before anybody jumping in like you. Like when we had these conversations, Joe, I got to be real careful about the way I say things, man.
You didn't say anything wrong. You didn't say anything wrong.
But I feel like that's where they're at. Yeah. And the owner's going up there and he's throwing people under the bus. They're in disarray right now.
Sure.
So they're looking for anything to help them get on track and get out of the rut that they're in. This is why I don't feel like Jalen should be, he should know who you're thinking about interviewing and he can have a say as far as that's concerned. But as far as sitting in there on the meeting, I don't think so, because here's the thing. Like, being a former player in the NFL, when things go wrong, it's never just one thing.
Sure.
It's never just one thing. And we know that. And we sit here and we talk about all the things that potentially could have went wrong last year with this team. Whether you like it or not, folks, Jalen was a part of that. Jalen was a part of the demise in this team. We don't know how much he was, but he was a part of it. And my whole philosophy has always been, because we tend to forget that I was on some bad teams. And for me, the thing that I remember when we finally got on a good team is being with a coach that held me accountable and made me uncomfortable. That was Tommy Brazier. When Tommy Brazier got here, that's when I feel like my career finally took off, because he challenged me in a way that I hadn't been challenged before. So that's kind of where I'm at. And when I'm looking at Jalen, as much as he's accomplished, there's a lot of meat left on the bone. We're talking about a potential Hall of Fame talent in Jalen Hurts. So when I think of the offensive coordinator that's best suited for this team, it's somebody that's going to challenge everybody. Because part of all this reckless speculation that we have on this team is this: that, okay, it was the offensive coordinator, it was the offensive line, it was the quarterback, it was whatever. It was a combination of all those things. And you need a fresh set of eyes on this that has no loyalties to anybody. And he's going to come in tasked with the job of getting this offense where it needs to be per the talent that we have. So that's why I don't think Jalen should be a part of it.
Yeah, so I think it's a really interesting question, because we see, you're right, it's not the Eagles' OC is different than the Bills finding a brand new head coach. I get it, right? And they're in a spot where they're desperate and they're trying to, I get all that. But I do think optics sometimes matter, right? And the optics, as I view them right now, is that there's some uncertainty about Jalen Hurts. I think there's uncertainty about his play, his future, all that. The Eagles could start to change the optics on it if they make him part of the conversation. If it comes out that Jalen Hurts is sitting in on these interviews, I think it would show us that the Eagles are maybe a little bit more committed to definitely he's here for the next handful of years than I think they are. I think the optics could be good. I also think there's got to be a comfort level on both sides. We keep talking about, is Mike McDaniel, is Declan Doyle, is whoever comfortable with Jalen Hurts running their offense? Well, is Jalen Hurts comfortable with them? I mean, I think you could start to create that relationship if he's part of the interview process. The fit's got to matter. It's got to matter on both sides. In a way, sometimes I think we think that we are interviewing these guys. Well, it's both ways. They're interviewing us, too. And they're fair or not, I think there's a perception out there that maybe Jalen is a little bit stuck in his ways. Well, maybe if he's in the interviews, he could show these guys maybe he's not, right? Maybe that exterior he shows, maybe it's a little bit warm and fuzzier underneath. And if he has a conversation with Declan Doyle or he has a conversation with whoever, maybe they get to know him like, I can work with this guy. Maybe it kind of erodes that Jalen doesn't want to do this stuff if they just have a normal conversation about football. So I think there's positives to this. So I'd give him say. If I'm the Eagles, I would give Jalen Hurts say. And I think about something Steve Bisciotti, the owner of the Ravens, said, a week ago when he spoke, when they moved on from John Harbaugh? Mm-hmm. Listen to Steve Bisciotti. He was asked then, and by the way, they found their head coach last night. They're going to hire Jesse Minter. He was asked a week ago, would Lamar Jackson have say on who the next head coach is? And I thought his answer was just really interesting because I kind of view this in the Jalen Hurts thing with the Eagles OC. Here was Bisciotti last week on his franchise.
Steve, you did mention that you invited Lamar to come up for the interviews if he wants to the final round of interviews and everything. When it's all said and done, how much of a say will Lamar have in the head coach selection?
A lot of say, but he has no power. I have the power. They have opinions, and I want them all. I care about my players very much, but I can't give them power.
So I actually thought, he comes across a little bit like, a
dictator?
Yes, but it is his franchise, right? He could do that.
And they've fallen short.
Yeah, they have. And
Lamar's been a part of that.
He definitely has. But I kind of spin that to the Eagles thing, and I like that. Like, you can have an opinion. I don't have to take your opinion and listen to it, right? Like, let's just pretend they give Jalen Hurts a say in this, and he comes to the final meetings, and he's part of the conversation with all these coordinator candidates. He could say, Howie, I like that guy, I'm not sure about that guy. It doesn't mean the Eagles have to listen to what he says. They don't have to do what he says, but I don't see why his opinion hurts to take into the conversation.
I don't think it hurts, but the thing is this. I don't think that he should have any weight when it comes to that because he's a part of the problem. Let me tell you a little story. I remember when we were looking for a head coach when they fired Ray Bob. Mm-hmm. I did not want Andy Reid. It was
Jim Haslett?
Jim Haslett. I think it was Jim Haslett because he was the DC for the Steelers. But he was the Steelers, but then he went to the Commodores that became their DC. And I remember when we heard Andy Reid's name as a defense, we were like, we grumbled a little bit because we didn't know who he was. And we didn't, because we heard Haslett might be the head coach. And we were excited about that. And Coach Haslett confirmed that for me one time when I saw him. He confirmed that he was going to be the coach, but certain things happened during that time, and they had to pivot. The Eagles had to pivot from that. So they picked Andy. And Andy at that time was a quarterback coach. I don't even think he was a quarterback coach.
Tight ends coach.
He was something.
Yeah. He wasn't a coordinator yet.
No, he wasn't. And I remember grumbling about that. And I remember those first 3 days that we had with Coach Reid. And we did not like it. And I remember him telling me to shut the hell up. We're getting better in that process. That's what I'm talking about. We were uncomfortable. And now you're looking at a Hall of Fame coach that's going to the Hall of Fame. So as a player, when Coach Reid came here, I was pretty decent. He got the most out of me because he put us in an uncomfortable spot. You're talking about Brian Dawkins. You're talking about Ike Reese. You're talking about Troy Vincey, Jeremiah Trotter, all those guys, Donovan McNabb, Chad Lewis. You know what I mean? Chad Lewis got cut like 3 or 4 times before he became a Pro Bowler. That's what I'm talking about. There are so many examples of somebody coming in and identifying what this team needs and cracking the whip. I was talking to an old teammate of mine last night, and I asked him, what do you think is the problem with the Philadelphia Eagles? And he's a coach. And you know what he told me?
What'd he say?
He said they're soft. They become too complacent. They become too complacent. And it was obvious this year because every time when the season started, they were winning games by the skin of their teeth, and we heard for weeks, and I believed it. Oh, we're going to get it right. They never did. They never got it right. If that could be the offensive line, the running back, that's all of them. Like nobody is above, criticism in this situation because it was all of them. So you need somebody to come in and make everybody uncomfortable.
I agree with you on that. And I hope the next coach comes in here and puts his system in and makes each player have to do what's right for the team, even if it makes them uncomfortable on the field. I'm with you on that. I think there's positives to bringing Jalen into the conversation. Again, they don't have to. If he wants one of these guys over the other, and everyone else in that room, from Lurie to Howie to Nick, says, no, I think that's the right guy, then Jalen's say is not power. I totally understand the way Steve Bisciotti put it with the Ravens. It doesn't mean power. But I'd give him say. I'd solicit his opinion. What do you think of this guy? Do you want to come in and talk to him and just kind of get to know you? I don't see how it's a bad thing if Jalen Hurts is going to be the quarterback next year, and we all think he's going to be the quarterback next season. 215-592-9494. Should Jalen Hurts have some say on who the Eagles' next offensive coordinator is? Kyle, what are you feeling on this one? It's interesting in the light of some of these other quarterbacks who he's kind of put in the conversation with. They're getting some say.
Yeah, so not only should he have say, he should have a lot of say. I mean, I'm the toothpaste out of the tube with this thing. They got rid of Kevin Patullo because they're moving forward with Jalen Hurts. They're probably going to trade A.J. Brown because they're moving forward with Jalen Hurts. Like, this is the Jalen Hurts show right now. And I think where I differ from Hugh is that I'm not looking to get somebody in here that's going to I guess I'm viewing Jalen Hurts as pretty much a finished product at quarterback right now. So I'm not looking to get a guy in here who's going to push him and make him into something that I don't think he can be. So I don't want him to be uncomfortable. Like, if I'm going to try and win the Super Bowl next season, I want him to be very comfortable. He's the quarterback. But I think a lot of the issues this year was that he was uncomfortable. I think the offense looked disjointed because of that. Like, I need everybody sort of working in tandem here. Like, this needs to be a buttoned up operation where everybody's pushing in the same direction. I think that was another big issue for last season. Like, I don't think they're that far away. So this isn't a quarterback that's in his second year that I'm trying to build into something. Yeah. I don't know what he is in the NFL. I know what Jalen is in the NFL.
To that point, before you respond to Kyle Hugh, the way I view it is, like, if he's part of these interviews, then him and whoever this hire is already have some sort of working relationship. They're getting to know each other. They're talking ball they're trying to create each other's language together, instead of Jalen finds out when I find out who the next coordinator is.
You know what I say to that? I hear you, Kyle, but I'm not, and I understand who Jalen is. We all know who Jalen is. But my thing is this. I'm not going to ask Jalen as offensive coordinator to do nothing that I haven't seen him do on film. What is the one biggest gripe that we've had, if any, about Jalen this year? The fact that he didn't run as much as he's done in the past.
Yes.
So my first question to him as offensive coordinator, Jalen, why all of a sudden have you stopped running when that's a big part of your game? Why that's a big part of what made Saquon Barkley what he is? And I want to see what he says. Because when you sit there, and this would be my thing as an offensive coordinator, because when you sit there in a meeting or at a press conference and you talk about making the main thing and doing everything you need to do to win, I can point to that last game that you played in the playoffs and say, how – when you're a better athlete, no, this is what I'll do. I'll put it all on him. Say, hey, who do you think the better athlete is between you and Brock Purdy? And more than likely, he's gonna say Brock. He's gonna say me. And he should say me. Yeah. Okay. So who do you think faster than the 40? Him. Why didn't you run in this game?
Why did Brock Purdy outrush you?
Yes. Yeah, why did Brock Purdy? And I'm gonna let him answer that. If you're saying the main thing's the main thing, see, I'm gonna put it back on him. Why aren't you doing the things that make you so dynamic? Why did you not run a whole lot of RPO this year? Why?
So I hear you, but see that's why I want him part of the conversation, because if he's there, then however they flesh it out, I want this fleshed out before the guy takes the job. Because as I said a few minutes ago, these interviews are both sides interviewing each other. Mm-hmm. I don't want someone to take this job on the pretense that Jalen Hurts is going to do all these things. Then he gets here, he's like, oh, bleep, he doesn't want to do these things. Like, sit eye to eye, have a conversation about your game, the offense, where we think we could go. And maybe Jalen says to him, I'm ready to run. I didn't do it enough last year. And then he says, all right, we could build these things in. I think it'd be a good thing. 215-592-9494. Where do you come down? Should Jalen Hurts have say on who the Eagles' next offensive coordinator is? Corner reports Josh Allen's going to be in all the interviews as the Bills pick their next head coach. Lamar Jackson, the owner down there, said he had say. They just picked their head coach last night, but he would have say. Should Jalen Hurts have say on the offensive coordinator? Again, say doesn't mean power, and I wouldn't let Jalen Hurts pick it. But if I'm Howie and I'm Jeff, I'd be curious what he thinks of all these different people coming in here and all these different interviews.